Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, brothers and sisters. If you've been watching this program so far, you know I've got two amazing guests here with me today. Sister hasb-e-haal, who's the principal or head teacher of the Paradise School in Dewsbury, and Sister Janine Wali, who's one of the parent governors. We've been talking about where the school started, where it is. It's one of the best performing schools in the Kirklees area. And it's come out with some amazingly good results. It's a school that has been doing this not just this year, but consistently over the past few years. And I remember a couple of years ago, the Ofsted report that came out, the annual Ofsted report, gave them a good as a mark for the work that they do. Not only that, the school is recognized by other feeder schools, the secondary schools, where people move from Paradise into the secondary schools in the region, in the area. And they have recognized the value of the teaching that Paradise provides to the children that come to them. They've got 230 children at the moment. They started with 8, and it's a struggle that they have gone through in order to get to where they are. It's a continuous struggle, I suppose, because you don't get any state funding whatsoever. And the school is based on the Islamic ethos. So the whole principle of the school and the value of the school is that they provide pupils with a complete Islamic way of life and working and learning. And that is something that is recognized, as I say, and valued not just by the parents, but the state schools as well. Because I remember Thornhill School, which is one of your main feeder schools, which was on TV for many, many weeks, became internationally well known. Right. Thornhill School, the head teacher wrote a letter to Paradise School congratulating on the behavior, the attitude, the character that had been built in pupils who came to their school from you. And I suppose that's been replicated in other schools as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has actually. We often get comments from other schools, grammar schools, the likes of Heckman Grammar and Queen Elizabeth Grammar, that they will say to us, you know, that your pupils are a real credit to the school because of their high level of academia, but also their good character and good manners, which is, you know, is a credit to the tarbiyah of the children and throughout the school.
And that is because of the staff that you've got.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. It's the staff, the hard work of the staff. It's a whole team. It's not run on one person. The whole senior leadership team, the staff, the governors, myself, it's a whole unit and a whole team, and that's how it works. It's not just about the academic results. The whole ethos of the school and the reason why there's a Paradise Primary School is because of the whole Islamic ethos, the tarbiyah of the children. When a parent leaves their child in the care of Paradise Primary School, you're assured as a parent that it's home away from home. So your child is not only the academic excellence, but you know that your child is going to get the correct tarbiyah. The sunnahs are going to be embedded, that the character traits that you would want, that they will grow. From the age of 2, we take a child into our nursery and they leave at the age of 11. That's an awful lot of years.
So from a very early stage,
yes,
what a Muslim child should grow up into, and what a Muslim is, or supposed to be, is inculcated within that child from the very early stages of life.
So we're living Islam.
Yes, exactly.
From the age of 2 right up till when they leave.
So you have a nursery as well?
Yes.
Oh right, mashallah, I wasn't aware. Forgot about that. So you have a nursery. So actually children start very young with you.
Yes, they do.
So they go through till the age of 11.
Yes.
So in terms of the resources, obviously it's a fee-paying school. Parents pay for sending their children there. And I'm sure that, you know, you have a very modest fee system like many of these voluntary schools have.
Yes.
And how does that work, and how do you supplement your income?
But we, as you say, we are a fee-paying school. We don't get any state funding at all. And one of the things that we want to do as a school is we want to make sure that we keep the fees as low as possible, so as we can be inclusive for all children. So we're not elite, not only certain people can get in. We want it to be everybody, and we do appreciate that even then families do make a sacrifice to send their children to Paradise. So what we do is we keep that to a minimum, and then we need to supplement our fees, so supplement our finances through fundraising, which we have to do a lot of. It can be a really fun activity for everyone getting involved, and we're always grateful for the parents and the children, anyone that wants to support. And alhamdulillah, we do have a lot of supporters at Paradise that are willing to come and help us fundraise, but that's constantly how we just keep going, and that's probably the biggest challenge that we face as an independent school.
I have witnessed the success of your, not the fundraising part, just the fundraising part, but you have an annual fundraising event where your children come and perform Naats and Nasheeds, and And I'm absolutely amazed and sort of completely blown away at the confidence that these young people have and the way they perform. And you know, they're just amazing. And I would certainly urge people, if you have not had the opportunity, local people and regional people as well, if you ever find out that Paradise are doing a fundraising event, an annual fundraising event, if you get the chance, please go and visit it and attend it, because you will be amazed at what the children do at these events. So in terms of fundraising, other than, you know, do you have good people who donate as well?
Absolutely.
Who contribute, whose children might not be going there as well?
Yeah, we do.
But because they're committed to what you're trying to do, bring this Islamic ethos into the pupils that you have in your care.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the community have been, ever since the start of the school back in 1998, the community have been really supportive, and the school couldn't have grown to what it is now without the support of the community, both financial and physical help, you know, just being there and supporting, helping us move. We've moved a couple of times, so promoting the school outside, talking about Paradise all the time.
I mean, you're in a very nice building at the moment, because I've been in there and I've seen it. I mean, obviously it's getting, you probably need bigger premises now.
We're outgrowing it now,
yeah,
we
exactly.
have been for a while.
Yeah, because, you know, 230 pupils, I don't think that building is capable of taking any more.
No.
Yeah.
And
So in terms of future growth, you know, where do you see Paradise, where do you want to see Paradise go, you know, in terms of future growth? Obviously, I'm assuming that you want to make it even more successful, you know, but how can that, what would you need in order to do that? Do you feel that you have the resources at your disposal, or do you want to go for state funding?
Well, as you've already commented on before, we tried the state funding, and that just wasn't written for us. And you know, alhamdulillah, we've been blessed anyway with all the resources and the financial support that we get. And one of the things is that our children, you know, no matter what the finances are, our children never lose out. You know, they always get all the best of resources, the best of teaching. You know, we fundraise, we bought them a minibus, so they get outdoor learning experiences, which we've really benefited from. But yeah, of course, would all like, you know, a brand new, massive purpose-built building. But you know, who knows? Inshallah, one day, if it's written for us, then we'll get that.
As a parent governor, what attracted you to become a governor? Because I know state schools, and I was a governor in Batley too many years ago to care to remember, that state schools have always struggled to find governors, parent governors, to come and be part of the governing structure. Yeah. So what attracted you? Was it because your child was going there?
Yeah, if I just briefly talk about my own kind of Paradise experience. When I had my oldest child, I had the dilemma, and many parents did, and I just didn't know where I would, you know, where to send her for the best. And I was always used to, alhamdulillah, having a really good education, you know, back where I was from, and I obviously wanted to have the same for my daughters. So whenever I went and looked at Paradise, it didn't take long, and I went into the environment, and I was absolutely smitten by that. And I just looked at the whole ethos of the school, and particularly in my case, because, you know, my daughter is a mixed race child, and I wanted to make sure that I sent her somewhere where she was really secure about her identity, that she was, you know, that she was absolutely the same as everyone else because she was a Muslim. And you know, I didn't look back since. You know, I've never regretted it. And since then, whenever I got involved with the school, I was probably an active parent. Yes. And then when I got talking to some of the other governors and the senior management team, they said, you know, would you like to come on board and help? And I'm like, absolutely, yeah. So
and I think that is fundamental, because for a school to be successful, they need parents like you to be not just send their children there, but actually support them in other ways as well. Without that, schools like yours would find it very difficult.
Yes, definitely.
Right. And in terms of, you know, the learning that you've had to bring this school up from where it was to where it is now, obviously that must have been quite an interesting journey.
Yes.
You know, have other schools come to you and said, look, we need help? And have you been able to support them as well?
Yes, definitely. There's been many schools that have come in, and it's something that we do ongoing. It's continuous. Any school that wants support, we're always ready to help. Because we know that it's been quite a climb for us in terms of getting systems into place, changing legislation, always changing, offset framework always changing, and kind of as a team we've kind of got to grips of what's needed to have a really good school. It's not just about a good school, it's the fact that it's an Islamic school. It's two together. Now you can take any good school, but for us, for our children, for the next generation, it's really important for everybody to come on board and really support Islamic schools, because this is where you're going to get both for your children, for the next generation. Any school, whether it be a Muslim school, any faith-based school, any state school that wants help, we're always there to support, because we I think we've worked so hard and we found the tools that are needed to bring about a really good, strong school for the children.
Right.
For the staff that work there, for the senior leaders that work there, to have a really good, strong governing body that helps the leadership. All of those things make a school work.
Oh, definitely. So in terms of, I mean, obviously there's a lot of anti-Muslim sentiments now developing in the last few years in particular. How do you find other feeder schools or state schools that are working with you, where your pupils go? As you say, Queen Elizabeth Grammar School is one of the most prestigious schools in this region. One of the best grammar schools in the country, I suppose. And if they're saying what they said to you about complimenting your pupils, how do the other state schools within the Kirklees area that your pupil go to from you, how do you work with them? What sort of do you have a good working relationship with them? I mean, I mentioned Thornhill School, obviously.
Yeah.
I presume there may be others as well.
Yeah, there's a collection of schools really in the area where our children would go on to. We've always had good working relationships with them. As I say, we've had good comments about the children, their behaviour and their character. One of the things about the ethos of Paradise is, you'll see, we really do mean that we want to prepare the children for life in 21st century Britain, and that's as having a strong Muslim identity and going out there and being just as good, if not better, than everybody else. And we definitely don't have a problem or haven't had any type of negativity towards the children, alhamdulillah. So,
mashallah, that's very good.
So I think it's...
in terms of feeder schools, we get some excellent feedback from the feeder schools that the children go into. But what we have found is that there is a need for, like a Paradise Primary School, a secondary level as well. So there is a need for, a girls' school or a boys' school, and obviously, evidently, we are part of another high school that we kind of run as well.
So we opened a high school just at the start of this academic year, actually.
All right, I wasn't aware of this.
Yeah, a girls'...
Tell us more, please.
Yeah. So we opened a girls' high school just at the start of September.
Right.
It's just one class at the minute. It's just a year 7 and it's just 8 girls, but alhamdulillah, it's going well. And the reason for that was the demand from mostly from Paradise parents, but not only Paradise parents. And saying to us, when are you going to open a high school? When are you going to open a high school? So and it's something we really wanted to do, all of us. And so not all of the Paradise team are involved with the high school, but some of us are.
Well, may Allah give you more strength, inshallah. Yes, why not?
Yeah.
Aspiration is very important. And I suppose that people who come to your school, their aspirations must be higher than in the majority of cases, because of the ethos of the school, the thirst of learning that you put into those children.
Yeah.
And that's why obviously they must be successful when they go to the next level. I mean, in terms of for you as the head teacher, as the part of the leadership team, what do you see as some of the challenges that are coming across over the next few years for Muslim schools in particular?
There's many challenges. Muslim schools, Muslim children, the next generation, there's a lot. It's not schooling as we've seen it or we've been through. Social media has a big part to play in with the next generation of our children. And that's why, a lot of other things, but that's why it's so important for our children to be in an environment, in a school where we can educate, teach, they make mistakes and they learn, and we're there to support them. If we always say, if the foundation is strong, no matter where they go and what they'll do in terms of their teenage years, they'll be strong in their identity as Muslims, inshallah. And we want to make sure that they're coming in at 2 and we're with them all throughout, primary school, then high school, there to support them all the time. They're going to make mistakes, but we're there to kind of help and support them, rather than letting them get lost in a system where there is really not that support in terms of bringing them back to Deen or Islam or kind of correcting them as they're going along. So it's really important that people back Islamic institutes, Islamic schools especially, because it affects our next generation of children.
Oh, definitely, yes. I mean, so obviously, if we want to preserve Islam in this country in the way that we would like to preserve it, you see the foundation of the school itself is absolutely vitally important.
It is, and you know, just going with what Hafsa was just saying there, you know, certainly we nurture and protect the children in that environment, but one of the things that we never do is shelter them either. And there's so many, you know, issues, controversial issues around there that you know, children need to know about, but they need to know about them from an Islamic perspective. Yeah, and that's what we take that as a real opportunity where we can, you know, we have things all the time. They're always out on trips. We have full days where we have, you know, themed days where they get to learn about things around the world and in Britain. We do it in the headlines all the time, so things particularly in the media that may involve Muslims, we address that with them so that they are still strong and secure and they know right from wrong and they know exactly what's going on.
I mean,
So I think that's really important.
One of the things that has been pushed in the last few months in particular, for maybe a couple of years now, is this whole prevent agenda and the anti-radicalisation or de-radicalisation, etc.
Yeah.
I mean, have you come across any issues around that from Ofsted or anything like that, where they, you know, questioned you about your modus operandi around these issues?
Yeah, so you know, I think it's quite common knowledge that when Ofsted come, they like to talk to the children, so talk to a random selection of your children, and they do ask them all sorts of questions. But one of the things that did come out of our Ofsted inspection was that one of the highlights of it was that the pupil, the personal well-being and development and behaviour of the children was excellent. And that was on the back, actually, of the questions that they asked them with regards to, you know, things like same-sex marriage and dress codes and gender. So, you know, who makes a better doctor, a man or a woman, and that type of things.
They go to that level of questioning, do they?
Yes. We'd prepared.
Yes.
You know, we'd not just, I don't mean we'd prepared our children, but you know, the way that we give the education, we're all well aware that we want them.
That's
want
part
them
of
to be
our
aware.
curriculum. Yeah. It's everyday life at Paradise. We don't kind of push those issues aside. We talk about them. We educate children.
So it's not giving a fudge answer just for
No.
the inspector's purposes.
You couldn't, because you've no idea who they're going to talk to.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So it's all pupils are actually given that level of awareness.
Age appropriately.
Yes.
So in terms of when they come to Key Stage 1, the knowledge that they should have. And the thing is, it's all out there. And you can't kind of hide away. If a child comes in, asks you a question, you can't shrug that question off. You've got to deal with it and think that, well, the children the same age are going to have the same questions. It's out there in the world, they're seeing it.
Exactly.
And we don't want them to ask anyone else. We want them to ask us so as we can give them the right perspective on things.
And actually that is a very important point, because a lot of young people are now seeking answers from online providers where they may not be getting the right advice. So, I mean, that is a challenge that, you know, people face. I mean, there's all sorts of sites out there that purport to be Islamic response sites, give Islamic answers, and provide what, in my view, in majority of cases, inappropriate responses. So, I mean, that is a challenge that you face, I presume, day in, day out.
Day in, day out. One of the things that we do on a fairly regular basis, and would encourage all schools to do, is we have a workshop with the parents. So we call it an e-safety workshop.
All right.
And what we address there is we try to make it compulsory, and all the parents attend, and we say to them, okay, this is what we use the internet for, and it has lots of brilliant values, but this is what your children can find. So we actually show them, and parents leave actually quite shocked, but really pleased that we've brought it to their attention, because if you don't see what they're doing, you don't know what they're coming across and what they're finding.
Exactly.
So
a lot of the times
it's really useful.
A lot of the times it is about educating parents to educate the children. Because like I said, with social media, it's growing so fast. As parents, you're not aware of what's happening, what we're using, where the control should be, what the children are watching or what they're accessing.
Right.
So a lot of the times it's about educating parents to then educate their children.
And do you think parents are doing that? Because there's this whole issue about where young people are getting radicalized because, you know, the parents are not aware, or parents don't have the knowledge of how to monitor internet usage.
That's it. That I agree. That is the problem, because you know the children are not going to sit beside you on the sofa and show you what they're looking at on the laptop. It's, you know, alone time with the laptop, coming across the wrong sites, and that's how they get, you know, all this wrong information.
Right. And I mean, there's an issue around grooming as well.
Yes.
Online grooming, etc. I mean, I presume you're doing some work around that as well.
Yeah.
To make sure that our children are safe, you know, and that, you know, they don't get involved in sort of unsavory activities or become victims or vulnerable to victims of online grooming, etc.
Absolutely.
But I mean, in terms of, you know, social media, obviously, I mean, I'm not a social media animal. I mean, I'm absolutely a Neanderthal when it comes to IT and technology. But you know, I see as a person that is a huge challenge for the Muslim community.
Yes.
Because a lot of this is now happening within our young people. A lot of young people are now seeking answers online rather than going and talking to the experts.
Yes.
You know, and not just in education, but in Islamic way of life as well. You know,
Yeah.
they're asking for they're asking for answers to some really fundamental questions, and in some cases getting inappropriate responses, which is giving them a very different perspective of Islam. I mean, that is, how do you see that as a challenge for you in the future? You know, particularly for your secondary school.
Yeah. So I completely understand what you're saying, because there seems to be for teenagers there's a bit of a gap. So they if they go to say a non-Muslim school, non-Islamic school, and they potentially leave Maktab when they're about 13, 14, and then there's a massive gap in their life where they maybe don't have a stronger connection to the masjid or to Islam, and maybe they don't have the people around them to ask, and that's a really important time of life where they need questions. So there needs to be there needs to be some kind of pull back into the back into the community, back into the masjid, and something that it's attractive for them to do and get involved with, but also keeps them on the right path and answers any questions that they should have.
Yeah. Now that is a challenge that's being faced around the country.
Absolutely, it's everywhere.
It's a huge challenge. And how do we then make sure that those people don't stray into the wrong paths of seeking answers to what is the meaning of life, for example?
Yeah.
We've got to make sure as communities that we're giving different kind of avenues for children to come back to us. That they've got places where they can go to.
Some safe
places. Places. So community centres, having workshops for either girls or or for teenagers, making sure that if they've got answers, they've got people to go to, places to go to, rather than going online or going to somebody else and asking. So that's why I say it's really important for Muslims and Muslim communities to really back institutions, whether it be Islamic schools, Islamic madrasas, workshops people are doing, community events people are doing, fundraisers that they're doing, because it's all got to be now that we open up our doors to make sure that these teenagers are coming and asking us questions, and that we have got the answers for them, so that we're supporting them through these years, that they're not getting lost in the system.
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, one of the other things at Paradise School, we have a weekend club, so we take the children out once a month, which is again all volunteer, parent volunteer, and governor led. So we take them different places, and so it's what we teach them in the school, like we said, about all their sunnahs and their du'as and everything. It's about living Islam, so we go out, take them out everywhere, and they get to live those things. And what we're hoping is that becomes a way of life for them, so they'll always have that connection to each other at a weekend, and also going through to secondary school, that we can keep that on, and that's something that keeps them in touch with each other in the community, and also with
excellent initiative.
Yeah, also with people who, say like community leaders or people that can always, adults that they trust.
Right. I mean, not want to be controversial, but then I am sometimes. I mean, I think that's where when you said when pupils leave mosque madrasas at the age of 13, 14, then there's no connection left. So there's no comeback. There's no opportunity for them to go back and see, ask for answers to simple questions, etc. And that relationship sort of comes to an end.
Yeah.
So and that is where I think some of the failures are in our structure, in our system. And if you're doing something where it allows them to come back into a safe space to ask, pertinent questions, then maybe that will help them and the future generation. In terms of the school itself, obviously you've grown from starting with 8 pupils to 230 now. Yes. And as I say, you're growing. You have a huge waiting list.
Yes, we do.
How do you respond to parents, when they want their children, desperately want to come in and be pupils of your school?
Yeah, no, it's not easy.
It's a challenge, isn't it?
We really want to take everyone in, but as I say, the capacity just doesn't allow. But what we do encourage is, when your child's born, put your application form in.
Yes, we have to say that now.
Yeah, my goodness.
As soon as they're born, put the application in.
And people do. And just make sure you get that place, because if you don't, you'll be disappointed. It's very hard to get in after kind of nursery and primary school starts.
All right.
Yeah.
So that means you have a huge waiting list.
Yes.
Then.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. For some of the classes, the waiting lists are as big as the classes.
As a class, we could actually potentially have 2 form entry.
So if we had, that big dream building that we talk about, then we could 2 form entry all the way.
Our brothers and sisters out there, if you have the wherewithal, if you have the capacity. I would strongly urge you to see if you can release some cash for the school, because they are, I mean, they're doing a fantastic job. There's no doubt about it. I have been witness to some of the work that they've been doing. As I said, Ofsted has given them a good standard mark, and now you've seen this MStats report which has come out, which makes them one of the best performing schools in the whole of the Kirklees area. So here we have a shining example of a good Muslim school. Remember, brothers and sisters, Muslim schools have not had the best of reputations. They've been under a lot of pressure over the last few years, particularly after what happened in Birmingham, where a lot of false information came out, a lot of fake news coming out. And here we have a very good example that I think we need to encourage and support in the best way we can. And anybody who wants to get in touch, you have a website?
Yeah, yes. So it's paradiseschool.org.uk.
Right. And they can contact the school through email, through
social
media. That I don't understand, but yeah. You know, are you on Twitter or
We're
whatever?
on Twitter, yeah.
Yes.
You're on Twitter as well. My
Paradise
goodness.
School, yes.
Can I enroll and learn some of these things?
Yes, you can.
Social media classes.
Yes, I probably need to do that. I mean, so in terms of the future, obviously, inshallah, your future is very bright, very supportive, very helpful for the community. In terms of the state, how do you see the state relating to you over the next few years? Because obviously, Ofsted, you know, the child protection issues, you know, health and safety issues, some of these issues are going to have a huge impact on all schools. But do you see that as having more impact on you because you're a free, you know, self-standing school as opposed to a state-funded school, and therefore the onus on you to try and come to that level of all these requirements are much higher?
Yeah, so there's already, for independent schools, there's already what they call the independent school standards, and that's the minimum that you can, the minimum standard that you can have or achieve to stay open, really. So that's always there for independent schools. It's you know, it can change. They can add anything at any stage, but that's just work on us, isn't it? We just work hard and we just
And in terms of the Ofsted framework and the state sector, there's no difference now.
Right.
Since last year, 2016, it's called a common inspection framework now. So therefore, whether you're a state school, an independent school, whatever kind of school you are then judged on the same criteria.
Right,
so there's nothing different for an independent school or a state school.
So in that case,
despite the fact we don't have any funding.
Exactly. I was just going to say, in that case, based on the fact that you don't get any funding, and you're performing at the same level, you're actually doing much better than state schools then.
Yes, with all the resources that state schools have, and you know, qualified teachers and leaders and everything like that, we are judged on the same criteria.
Right.
So independent schools have had to raise the bar from last 2016. I mean, I think the framework came out in September, we got Ofsted in January, literally within 3 months of the new framework coming out, we got Ofsted in January under the same framework as a state school. So now, and you came out as
a good school.
Yes.
Which is not an easy task.
No, which is not an easy task.
So I mean, congratulations to you and your team and the governors.
Exactly,
because that is something that is, you know, many schools don't achieve.
Yes, that's true.
You know, and at the moment, recently, you know, I think there was a figure I heard the other day that there was something like 2,500 state schools which are performing very badly, and they needed to send in, you know, what they call hit squads to try and get them up to a certain level.
Yes, it's true.
So obviously, mashallah, you're doing very well. And
so
Allah give you even more strength. But as I say, brothers and sisters, if you're passing through Dewsbury, anywhere near Paradise School, go in and see them, see the work that they're doing.
Yes, definitely.
And I'm sure you'll be inspired by what you will see over there. And if you can support them in any way you can, please help as much as you can as well. I mean, in terms of the parents' continuous support, you know, obviously that is quite vital.
Yes.
And I'm sure there must be parents, I hope there'll be parents in your catchment area who I hope will be watching this program. What are the messages you would like to give those parents? They're supporting you already. What else would you like them to do for you?
You know, as always, we're constantly saying, you know, jazakallah to the parents for their continued support and their hard work. You know, what we request of the children, you know, it's not easy. Parents have to get involved. They have to help along the way. We're always asking them for feedback. So even though that we celebrate good results, you know, we're never stagnant. We always are looking for ways to improve. Yeah, so we never sit back and say, oh yeah, we're there. We're constantly evaluating, and the best way to do that as well is from the feedback from the parents, because they're the ones who live in our school. So So yeah, continue giving the feedback,
It is their
continue
children
getting
who are
involved.
affected, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I just remembered something as well. I mean, Dewsbury, where you are, in the ward that you are, it's one of those wards which is in the top 10 deprived wards in this country
areas,
in terms of deprivation, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So you know, you're working in an area which has got huge deprivation, you know, huge issues around deprivation, education, attainment. In terms of attainment, have we? I mean, maybe this is too early for you to try and analyse. Have you done any analysis about where people who come to you, who've then gone on to secondary school, and then gone on to achieve something quite substantial, either become, you know, got to universities and got degrees, etc. Have you done any of that?
Analysis?
We have maybe not long-term analysis like that, because the first set of children are just coming probably into university and coming out now. There are a lot of children that have gone into certain professions that have started at Paradise Primary. And one of the things I think we talked about, because we have a lot of guest speakers coming to the school, and one of the things we talked about was that those first set of children we'd like to invite back as guest speakers to the school, so that they can
be role models.
Yes, role models to the
With
children now.
20 years coming up, this is definitely the time to do it.
It'd be useful to find out, you know.
Yes, definitely.
I'm sure there must be some real genuine stars who've gone through.
Oh yes, definitely.
Because there's so many people in that area that I know,
yeah,
who are, you know, amazing people doing some fantastic work, both in professional areas as well as business areas.
Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
Right.
Actually, some of the pupils of Paradise are now teachers at Paradise.
Sorry, say that
They're
again?
actually teachers at Paradise.
Oh, are they?
Ex-pupils are coming back.
They've
to
come
teach.
back,
All right,
and
so
they're
they
actually
come
back in a
as
teaching
teachers,
profession.
academic.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's giving them that academic sort of angle as well.
Yes.
So it's encouraged them, it's given them that sort of sense of doing something, putting back into the community.
Putting back into
we
the
like to think
community.
that you know, they enjoyed their education so much that they want to
come back
and give it to the other children. So.
All right. No, that's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of other schools, Muslim schools, is there a Muslim schools network that, you know, do something like that?
Yeah.
An association or anything like that? And
Yes,
how do they work?
There's a National Association of Muslim Schools.
Right.
And yeah,
which
we're
we're
all
part
members
of.
of that. We're part of that. So it often gives us opportunities for training and networking opportunities. We've actually held a head teachers conference at our school.
Yes, we
Not
did.
that long ago. So
At your school?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
All
we
right, so
hosted it.
national head teachers of Muslim schools
Came to
came
Paradise.
to Dewsbury to Paradise
Yeah.
to come together. I mean,
Yeah.
one of the things that I find very difficult, and this is why one of the reasons why I've agreed to come and support this program, is there's a Muslim community. We're very bad at showcasing some of the good work we do.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're very good at criticizing other people,
Yeah.
but we're very bad at showcasing some of the good that is happening in our community. We don't share that with other people. So I'm glad to hear that you actually do share your learning and the struggles you went through, you know, with other people as well, because it then hopefully encourages them, and they avoid the pitfalls that you had to go through.
Yes,
That's it.
definitely.
You know, I think all institutions, we all need to support each other, because everybody has different challenges, and you don't know what's around the corner and what your challenge might be next. So yeah, so it's good to.
And you're right,
get
in terms
together.
of sharing, I think we need to do more as Muslim communities, Muslim schools, Muslim madrasas. We need to do more. We need to kind of fit as a unit and make sure that we're supporting whichever school is going through maybe an Ofsted or you know, is kind of needing some help. If you know what you're doing, you need to go in there and really help them out.
So you're offering, obviously, any school, Muslim school, wherever they may be in the country.
Oh yes,
if they're
definitely.
looking
We'll
for
always
support.
support and help.
Which I think is fantastic, because you lead busy lives.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, as being a teacher, I know people think it's a cushy job in terms of all the holidays you get.
Really hard.
Yeah.
But I know that even those who are on a 6 weeks break, actually they're working 5 weeks while they're off, you know, from the 6 weeks, and they only probably get 1 week off in reality.
Yes,
So in that sense, obviously, it's a very busy profession. And there's people leaving this teaching profession
because
left,
of
right
that.
and centre in the state sector.
Yeah.
Because of the
So
stress.
in terms of
and-
you're the opposite, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, teachers do a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Without the teachers, there is really no school, kind of no environment. In our school, the teachers really do live the ethos. The relationship that they have with children is
Brilliant.
exceptional.
Yeah.
I mean, children they can come and they can ask anything, and teachers do a fantastic job. They really do.
Not only that, I mean, I was encouraged to hear that, you know, the people willing to come back into the profession.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, you know, these are people who are Muslims, who are very proud of being Muslims, who want to live as a proper Muslims in this country within the framework of the UK, but also want to bring young people up as Muslims as well. So that is something really encouraging, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's definitely the cycle that we want to achieve. You know, that this current generation of children will do the same thing. You know, they'll strive to send their children to Islamic schools. They want to teach them and lead them, inshallah.
Well, it's been really fascinating. Thank you for coming. We're coming to the end of the program, unfortunately. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Yes.
I'm sure our viewers will have found it very fascinating. I think the story of paradise is something that needs to be celebrated. It's something that we need to share with other Muslim schools as well and our Muslim community. And I'm sure other Muslim brothers and sisters around the country who've heard you today, who've seen you today, I'm sure will be encouraged with the work that you're doing and will be empowered to try and support their local schools as well. So thank you very much for coming, both sisters. Sister hasb-e-haal, Sister Janine Wali, thank you for coming. I hope you've enjoyed being here today and sharing your experiences from the school with our viewers of IQRA TV. Brothers and sisters, thank you very much for being with us tonight. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you found it fascinating. And I hope it's encouraged you to support your local Muslim schools wherever you may be. May Allah take care of you. Jazakallah khair. Inshallah, we'll meet again next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.